I don't have what you have.
Oh, talking about basketball.
There it went. I was starting to wonder, what the deal? Maybe I didn't push the button hard enough. Welcome into McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal. That's Tyler.
What it is.
What it is today, sir?
Been fun, man. Had a long day already. Let's go.
I know you were up early, pumping iron at 5 in the morning.
5 a.m. to the point where my wife was seriously asking me what the hell I was doing getting out of bed at 5 in the morning. Yeah. I have to be routine. I got to get a routine. Have to.
Yep.
Mondays and Thursdays, because the show in the afternoon is hard for me to get in a routine. I was normally going to take those days off, yada, yada, yada. Just didn't feel that way. So I'm going to try the 5 a.m. thing since I'm getting a little older.
There's nothing better than when you get into the routine of working out early and it's done, that routine of, man, I'm finished.
I hated it so much as a player. I hated it. I think it's because they made us puke all the time. You know, I resented it so much. But now that I'm out of that, I've had a great day. Like it's changed my mood. I mean, I'm up like waiting on the kids. Let's go. And I've been up for a while. Let's go. Washed a load of clothes this morning when I got back.
Look at you.
The wife is she's gonna start kicking me out of the house. Had like an hour to kill some time, so got my clothes ready for dry cleaning. Got washed a load of clothes. I mean, dude, I was on.
How about that?
My wife's gonna be kicking me out of the bed at 5 a.m.
Yeah, you're gonna be getting stuff done.
Yeah. So no, I enjoyed it. Yeah. But how's everything going? You good?
Good. Had a good day. Been a busy day. A lot of phone calls.
It's that time of the year for you.
A lot of rumor chasing. But I actually went to the gym, got my run in. Had several calls, and I would just hit the text. Hey, I'll call you when I'm through running. But I got my run in. I've made my priorities. So I'm good. I know. Yeah, no. I mean, the rumors that get reported without the reporter admitting that it's possibly a rumor used to really bother me, and now I just laugh at it. I think it's because, like, when you first met me, getting, quote, beat on a story was the worst thing. I hated it. I hated getting beat so bad that I couldn't stop working. And now, I mean, I like winning on stories, but if I don't, I don't. Like, I'm to that point where also it's kind of, I posted this a minute ago. I've got one source, telling me something. It's a good source, but he doesn't hit 1,000.
Right.
And so I just don't feel good going with it, right? Because I've also run it by some other people, and I don't get a confirmation on it. I don't get anything with, and frankly, part of it doesn't sound right, and so I just don't go with it. And then other people kind of just throw it out there against the wall, like, okay, well, here it is. And I don't know whether it's me holding myself to a higher standard or me feeling like I'm held to a higher standard or both. I don't run with it like that. And so, and there was a time when it would really bother me. Like, 2 years ago, I would have not run today. I would have worked, and then tonight been frustrated with myself for not putting in the run that I wanted to put in, right? And today I was like, no, you have a window here. The end of the first podcast. Tyler's coming over about 1:45. You're going to do that show. Here's your window. You let's do it.
Yep.
And I did it. And I'm like, so to me, like, this is my mental health moment of the day. It's like, that was good. I was productive. I had my phone. If everything had broken out, right, I could have stopped and.
You could do what I did the other day. I had a school call me when I was on the treadmill, and I talked while I was on the treadmill. I had to make sure I explained that to them when they knew I was breathing pretty heavy into my phone. But no, I'm with you, dude. You have a small window, and I'm if that's the best thing, if 5 a.m. fits my routine, that's what I'm going to do. But going back to what you said, and this is good, I guess, for the live show before we get going on the audio file. But it used to be what you were talking about when I first met you, people that, you didn't want to get beat on a story. But you know what? The person who put it out first actually had the accurate story. Now it's like throwing darts, man. Let's just hope one of them hits bullseye. People report things that they may not be false, but they're not true, if that makes sense.
Well, I can always tell who, and I don't mean journalism school. Okay, when I say journalism school, I mean like the hard knock school, like reporting, working for a newspaper, working where in the old days, like when I wrote in early November of 1998 that Tommy Tuberville had emerged as Auburn's leading candidate, okay, that got printed in the Birmingham Post-Herald. Printed, okay. Not in some cyber world.
When was the last time you read a real newspaper?
It's been ages. Yeah. But here's the difference. That was printed.
Yeah.
And it might go online, but we didn't edit online. We just published once a day.
Yeah.
And so that sat there
forever. It's in microfilm now.
Yeah, it's like Dewey beats Truman, right?
Go down to the old public library and pull up the old microfilm.
And so you just you knew that there was nothing better than being first and right. But there was nothing in the world worse than being first and wrong. Oh. You wanted to be second and right more than you were first and wrong.
Right.
Because first and wrong is a lonely, it's a lonely island. And so, but you can tell like this isn't me yelling at the clouds. It's just the difference. You can tell like with some of the young people who never really worked at a legitimate news outlet.
Which is 99% of the people doing it now, right?
Yeah. You can tell that they've never had that experience. Like where, I mean, my editor at the Post-Herald, we got to go, I know. But my editor at the Post-Herald was like, hey, I didn't want to hire you. You need to get this one right. You need to get this one first, and you need to get this one right. Yeah. And I was like, boy, that's a vote of confidence. Thanks, man. But he meant it. I mean, and so when I wrote that about Tuberville, that was like November the 7th. And it didn't go down until like the day after Thanksgiving, so the 25th or something. Those are some lonely damn days, man. I mean, I was 28 years old. I'm like, well, I wonder what I'll do for a living. I mean, like we would go to like Home Depot for a minute. I'm like, I could work here, And Laura would be like, shut up. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm serious because if this isn't right. And then like guys like Philip Marshall and Charles Goldberg, like big time reporters. I mean, legit stud reporters with sourcing. Legit sourcing. They would write about George O'Leary and some cats like that. And I was like, yep, I'm fired. I'm done.
Well, I was on the team when that happened, right?
Yeah.
We all thought it was George O'Leary.
Yeah.
Until it wasn't. I mean, I will remember because we didn't play the old Pine Box game, right?
Yeah.
That was the day before he got hired. And has that like, and there was no social media, none of that, no internet.
Yeah.
I mean, there was internet, but it was like it is now.
It was that.
It wasn't what it is. It was more for email.
Yeah, you have mail. Yeah, you weren't cruising.
Looking up the encyclopedia.
Yeah, that was a wild week, man.
Yeah,
that was a wild.
Good stuff.
It was crazy. All right, we'll start.
Yeah, let's start. It's a good pre-show.
Welcome into another edition of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal McCready. That's Tyler Siskey. We're with you today. Talk about a lot of things. Talk some a lot of NFL scouting combine stuff, some NFL stuff. We'll talk some college basketball. Just one episode this week. I will not be here on Thursday, or if I am here, I will be just getting back and probably scrambling a little. So this will be the only episode this week. We'll get together. We haven't even talked about it. We'll get together at some point next week, but it might be like a Tuesday show.
Yeah. Well, I'll talk to you about that.
Okay.
Since we're only doing one show this week.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be very appropriate to bring her back.
Yeah.
The Red Dragon has made an appearance. This is the nectar of the gods right here. This is where it's at.
I mean, I love a lot of the others, but I love me some Red Dragon.
I know Bob is listening, as he always does.
What's up, Bob?
If we could get one of those new Unleash the Beast monster beers flavored like Red Dragon, we'd be a bunch of alcoholics.
You know, someone had the audacity to write on the internet today that having a beer a day is not a good thing. And I was like, are you?
What's the difference between having a glass of wine and having a beer a day?
I don't know. It was something about enzymes and stuff. And I was like, listen, let me just tell you something.
You get your grain in there.
I mean, don't come after me like that.
Yeah. To each their own. There's a lot of things I do that probably aren't good for me.
Yeah, for sure.
But I did work out at 5 a.m. and washed a load of clothes today already before I even left the house. So the wife will be happy with me. I've got some brownie points, dude. I'm on fire.
Oh, that's good.
So
I always do. I do 90% of our laundry.
I did before I started the new business, you know?
Yeah.
That was, dude, look, I had this sitting at the house on vacation, courtesy of Ross Bjork, that I was on vacation for a couple of years. That was the best time of my life. I had that day down pat. But clean the house, do some laundry. That's not a bad life. Probably would get tired of it, but it's pretty good.
All right. Alan jumps in the thread here and says, having a glass of beer a day is not great. Let me tell you something, Alan.
But he also followed up with, you should have like 4 a day.
There you go. Alan redeemed himself. I was about to get on Alan. I mean, I'm going to tell you.
He backed it up.
He's like, whoa.
Whoa.
Right, hold up.
Haven't finished yet. Kind
of feel like someone's coming through the machine.
Sound like a personal attack there.
I know it did for a minute. I was like, what are you trying to say? I mean, is it bad that one of the reasons I really want to go to Nashville is that they have a couple of stores there that have great beer selection and I might stock up? Is that a bad thing? Because if it's a bad thing, just don't tell me it's a bad thing. Leave me alone, okay?
I'm low key jealous about that's a fun trip. Matter of fact, yeah, I'll talk to you about it later. I may venture that way this weekend, maybe, if I can talk the wife into it.
I love the tournament. I wrote about it in 10 Thoughts. I led with it. It's one of my favorite things. I love the NCAA tournament too, but I love the SEC tournament. Always have. There's something cool about it.
I love it because I watched SEC basketball a year and I'm familiar with all the teams.
Yeah, right? and there they are on one floor, and it's cool. It's just fun. I like it a lot. I always have. My favorite assignment in Mobile when I became a columnist was they'd send me to the tournament. Back then it started on Thursday, and they'd send me on Tuesday night. I'd get there, and Wednesday I'd go to the arena, and I was there all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, all day Friday, most of the day Saturday, and then just cover the championship game on Sunday. And I didn't have any set assignments. I mean, I typically had to do a column on, Alabama or Auburn the first day or whatever, but I get to do other stuff too. They gave me lots of freedom, and I loved it. Like if some kid went off for Florida and I wanted to go do a column about him, or if I ended up talking to some coach and he's like, hey, let me tell you a story about this would happen, right? And locker rooms were open. You get to go in and talk to people, and I'd come away with, something different or whatever. And I loved that. It was the most fun thing I did.
Yeah.
Was, and then, like I said, I mean, if Alabama was playing the late game and we were going to be on the deadline, they might say, hey, help out the beat writer with, he's going to have his game story, put together a notebook to help him real quick so we can go fast. I mean, I would do stuff like that, but earlier in the day, I'd have like freedom. And then one of the things I really loved about it was if I got my stories done by the end of the third game on Thursday or Friday, I basically had a front row seat for the late game.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't really covering it at all.
Yeah, but it's fun.
My work was done and I could sit there and just like enjoy a game. And it was always loved that. I'm like,
you remember when it was at the Georgia Dome?
Oh, obviously? Sure. Many times.
I was there. Remember the day that the tornadoes came through?
Yep.
I was there in the morning session.
Oh, okay.
And had left and gone back. I guess I can say this now. She's retired. Regions is a sponsor of the SEC. And so my mother had gotten some tickets through Regions or whatever. And we had gone, it was like on our spring break or something. That's before we had kids, I think. What was that, 2003, 4, somewhere in there?
8.
8?
Uh-huh. It was my last assignment for the Mobile Register.
I was in Anniston for some spring break or something, I guess. And we'd gone to the lake or something. And I went over there. It was fun. All right, let's roll. So as we talked about a little bit.
Real quick, let me tell you, we're brought to you by Reign Total Body Fuel, 300 milligrams, natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push your limits, achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Reign Body Fuel to learn more.
So NFL Combine happened over the last week, which we were in the middle of it when it started. I want to talk a little bit about the quarterbacks, and kind of it was funny. Like we've been talking about it, I don't know how long, but we'll get to him in a minute. But Bryce Young, he did not really test. He went and did measured 5'10", 204 pounds with a 9 3/4 inch hand. Okay, so for people that don't know that, if you have under a 10-inch hand, that's a small hand for a quarterback.
Yeah.
All right, so 10's kind of the marginal there.
Okay.
I put this in parentheses to remind myself. Do you know who was 5'10", 207 pounds at the NFL Combine? Don't be looking at the sheet. You're cheating.
I do now.
Kyler Murray and Bryce Young are the exact same size. However, Bryce Young is actually going to be lighter. Bryce Young played this whole season about 190, between 193, 197, I think.
Yeah.
He beefed up a little bit for the Combine. So he's going to play next year at 100. He is going to be a lighter version of Kyler Murray. So you know how small Kyler Murray looks out there? That's going to be Bryce Young, but he can't run around. So size is going to be a concern. I mean, people don't really, when you look at him in college, you're like, oh, he's not that small. Dude, that's small.
So how much of a concern is just his slightness? I mean, he's a great player. Everyone loves watching him play. He's terrific, but this is a tough league, and small quarterbacks have not always fared particularly well.
Check this out. Kyler Murray, what can he do? He can run around like a chicken with his head cut off, right? He has elite speed and elite escapability from the pocket.
Now, I'm going to guess that Bryce Young's a better student of the game and a better preparation guy than Kyler.
300,000%. Yeah. That's not even going to be up for debate, right?
Right. Because there's questions about Kyler's work ethic. There are not questions about Bryce Young's.
But Kyler Murray also has a problem staying healthy.
He does.
And he can run around too.
Right.
Bryce is not going to be able to run around he'll be able to move, but he's not going to be able. He's not like a statue or anything. But
he's not the athlete that Kyler Murray is.
Even the vicinity of the athlete that Kyler is. And so the durability of a 17-game season in the NFL is a concern. Now, is he going to be the one that's probably the most ready to play? Absolutely. He's smart and all that stuff, but you're going to have a concern there. And I know if I was a GM, like let's say it's Houston that trades up, if it's Indianapolis that trades up to get him or wherever, I better have a freaking good backup quarterback. It can't be just some random guy you've never heard of, because he's probably, before the end of the day, he's going to have to take some snaps. And I say this, and I'll say it again. Okay, how many games did this year when he was healthy? Let's don't count the Arkansas game and stuff like this, but how many games did Bryce Young really play all the way through the end? Or how many games did he come out and Milroe go in and get some garbage time?
Not many, right?
But he couple, right?
Yeah.
But you got to look at it at quarters, right? I always use this as a quarter system. In college, you're playing 12 games in a regular season. That's 48 quarters by the old math. Well, if you go and you play 4 directional schools and you're out there at halftime, well, you end up really only playing 10-game seasons, right?
Right.
In the NFL, you're playing 17 weeks in a row, and you don't come out in the NFL. They don't bring in the
72 quarters.
Yeah, you're playing every snap, so you're adding more chances to get hit. I guess that's my point. You're adding more punishment on the body, so it's definitely a concern. And especially he had a durability issue this year. You know, he gets a hit on the sideline with a shoulder, and so it's definitely a concern. With all that being said, though, I do think he's the most probably game ready guy.
But boy, the other 3,
and
you're about to go over it. The other 3 look like NFL quarterbacks.
Yep.
Big bodies, got the height, big shoulders. I mean, both Levis and Richardson I mean, damn, they look the part now. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I mean,
well, all of them do. I mean, they all got a similar build, right? So C.J. Stroud was next. He is 6'3", 214 with a 10-inch hand. Also did not test. But look, C.J. Stroud, if you told me 4 years from now he was the best, any one of these guys could pop and be the guy, right?
Sure.
So you got to look at what you're looking at. Puts everything in fair game right now. And at the end of the day, if he was continuing and he plays in an NFL like he played in the Georgia game, dude, I'm all in. Let's go, man.
Sure.
But it's just the other games,
sure,
you know, and what he was surrounded by, and was he as productive? I mean, he had the best receiving core his last 2 years, Coach. He has the best damn receiving core in the history of college football, probably, and over a 2-year peried. I mean, it's scary.
Chris Olave and Marvin Harrison Jr. And
Oh, and by the way, the other kid that couldn't even get on the field went to Alabama, was a first-round pick, right? I mean, like, dude, and they're just loaded. He had weapons to throw to, and where is the production? If Bryce Young had those same guys to throw to, I mean, look at Mac Jones. He had the group at Alabama that was similar. Went to the NFL. Look at what Joe Burrow did at LSU. Like, he didn't have those type of production, so that kind of scares you with those weapons. They didn't have that production. And then Will Levis and Anthony Richardson both tested. So Will Levis was 6'4", 229 with a 10 and 5/8 inch hand. That's big. That's big hands. You know what they say about big hands?
That it makes you wrap around the football better.
Big gloves.
Okay.
So,
yeah, it's like, hey.
I always like making that joke. He had a 34-inch vert and a 10-4 broad. So broad jump, just give you guys an idea. Anything over 10 is pretty damn good now. If you got somebody that's jumping over 10, that's pretty damn good. 34-inch vert for somebody that's a quarterback, that's pretty explosive.
Look, Will Levis is very athletic.
Like, dude,
I mean, people try to talk about him like he's some sort of plotter or something. He played with a broken foot.
If it wasn't for this next guy, we'd be talking about his numbers. You know what I mean? Like,
the question on Levis has nothing to do with athleticism. The question on Levis, much like it is with Richardson, is about consistency. It's about production. But the question on Will Levis, when people do the athlete, there is so much stereotyping that goes on at that position. It's insane. You think we'd be past it by now.
Yeah,
right?
They never will, though.
You think we'd get past it. Like, people do this deal with Richardson. It's not about his intelligence. Stop. It's not about his intelligence. It's about his consistency. And with Levis, it's not about his athleticism, dude. I promise you, dude can go out and, like, reverse dunk, okay? Dude's fine as an athlete.
More than fine.
I mean, he's special.
Yes.
It's about his consistency.
And the thing about it is, when you read all the gurus that talk about his negatives, every line starts in 2022, in 2022, in 2022, in 2022. Nobody says shit about 2021, right?
When he had a pretty good year and kind of emerged as a dude.
But nobody wants to talk about that. He had a brand new coordinator come in, and that guy got fired, by the way.
Yeah.
It was a 1-year coordinator, and it was like, oh, all of his throws were behind the line of scrimmage. He doesn't call the damn plays.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of things that are he's getting dinged on that really probably wasn't all him.
I got to be real. I typically am pretty objective on this stuff.
Yeah.
I am cheering for both Will Levis and Anthony Richardson.
Did you see the ball come out of his hand this weekend?
Which one?
Will Levis.
I'm cheering for both of them.
Guy can spin it.
Some of the criticisms of Will Levis and Anthony Richardson are absurd. I'm not saying there aren't legitimate criticisms. There are.
Yeah.
They're also college players, okay?
Yep.
They're going to play in the NFL. And there are some guys who went to the NFL who were not elite superstars in college who turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, there were question marks about Aaron Rodgers coming out of
There was.
There were big question marks.
Arm strength. Did you know that?
There were big question marks about Lamar Jackson coming out. And a lot of it was stereotypical crap.
Yeah.
And yet Lamar Jackson's answered every one of those questions. I mean, no, they're not finished products.
No.
They hadn't played a snap in the league yet. Of course they're not finished products. Some of the questions about Richardson, it's like, they make Richardson sound like he can't figure out how to spell his name. And I'm like, that's not, if anybody, I've talked to plenty of people who've been around that kid. That's not what they say.
No, I have not heard that.
They'll question, hey, timing a little bit. Hey, it's not about decision making. It's about sometimes he wants every play to be the big play.
Right.
Like sometimes he's the guy at the plate who's has a tendency to always swing for the fences.
Yes.
So sometimes you want to, hey, dude, it's a fastball away. What we really need right now is the ball in play. Drive it to right field.
He tries to hit out of the park every time.
But a lot of times you can coach that out.
Yeah. Well,
anyway, I'm sorry.
Now it's a business now. Now they're going to get their ass fired out if they don't do it. And then we get to our good friend Anthony Richardson. As we said on our show on Thursday.
I mean,
as we said, like, here's the best part is I've always known this. I think you have always known this.
Yes.
But it was like people didn't really understand what the numbers actually were until he went and tested. And they're like, holy shit, like, how can you pass on this guy? All right, here we go. 6'4", 244 pounds. Let's start there.
Yep.
6'4", 244.
It's a dream for NFL coaches to have a quarterback that size.
With a 10.5 hand, which is big.
Yeah.
Ran the 40, laser timed at 4.43.
Do you know how few people can truly run a 4.43
yes, I do.
40?
Yes, I
on
actually
a laser.
I do. Yes, I do. The answer is not many.
Yeah.
All right. And
not that it matters, but he can jump out of the building.
He jumped 40.5 inches. Okay.
I mean, which is superfluous. But.
I've seen two players in my life, I think, with my own two. I've seen a couple other ones, but just the two off the top of my head. I played with a guy named Jonathan Carter, was a wide receiver, got drafted by the Jets because he jumped 41 inches. DeWitt Betterson got drafted at running back because he jumped 41 inches. 40. Now, let me check that. Those guys were receivers and like lights, like more like a Kenyon Drake built running back. This guy's 244 pounds and jumped 40.5-inch vertical. That's insane. And that's no running start now. This dude's 2 feet on the ground.
This is why I tell people, if you've never been to an NBA game and you get a chance to go to an NBA game in person up close, you will walk out of there going, oh, my God.
Oh, their athleticism is unbelievable.
I mean, these 6'7.5", 6'8" guys who jump 40 inches and they look like chiseled granite, and you're like, it's not fair.
All right,
you walk out of an NBA arena just going, life's not fair.
His broad jump was 10 foot 9 inch, which is, for people that don't know, is elite for the elite of elite wide receivers that get to do this stuff for a living.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and by the way, he can throw it as far as you want to throw it. He has, look, at the end of the day, he has two problems.
Okay.
All right. He does struggle layering throws. You can call it throwing change ups or whatever, putting touch on the ball.
Yeah.
Because exactly what we're talking about.
Because he's got a rocket. And
he's
sometimes
got a
he just
rocket,
wants you to see it.
And it's tough to gear down. And the best way I can describe it to you is if you've pitched before in a game as a baseball player, like I had this problem, I did, is you're throwing as hard, you're throwing 60 pitches into a game, whatever, you're throwing, and you get the one right back at you. And you got to make that throw to first base. It is very hard to go throwing a fastball to trying to throw in a touch ball to the first baseman. Which
is literally one of the reasons that a lot of pitchers will jog over towards first base and underhand it.
Because
they're afraid they can't throw it right.
And so he does the same. He throws fastball.
Yeah.
And the reason he waits so long on the balls you're talking about on like over routes and things like that, because he doesn't need a big window to fit it in there, because his throw speed is going to cut down a lot of that. You don't have to be very open with him.
Right. He can throw you open.
He can throw you open. Yeah. That's the understatement of the decade, right? But here's the deal: is there's not going to be any more padded games between now and the draft, and he's just going to continue to go tick, 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 tick up. And if you are in a draft when there's not, everybody's got question marks. Man, can Bryce Young stay healthy? What C.J. Stroud do we get? Do we get Georgia C.J. Stroud, or we get the other C.J. Stroud? Will Levis. We get 22 Will Levis, or we getting 21? Or do I take this guy dude, there was a guy named Jalen Hurts coming out of the draft. Everybody laughed at the Philadelphia Eagles for taking this guy.
I know.
Laughed.
I know. Listen.
So can you build an offense around what the kid can do? It's what the Eagles did. And they did it all the way to the Super Bowl.
It's why that position leads to more mistakes. These are professional people. It's why I've told you that I won't be repetitive. I'll laugh at the criticism that like Rivals and On Three and Scout get, whatever it's called now.
247.
They all get criticized for their rankings, and I'm like,
I'm a critic,
and it's fair. But with quarterbacks, man, this happens a lot in the NFL too. There's a whole bunch of mistakes. A whole bunch of mistakes.
You're going to miss more than you're going to hit. That's just the numbers.
And so the grind asks, is there anybody that is there a natural comparison for Richardson? The truth is not really.
Vince Young, maybe. Well, probably the closest.
He's more athletic than Vince Young was.
Yeah, Vince was fast, right? Vince was a freakazoid fast. Vince Young was the best high school tape I ever saw.
His arm is Elway-ish.
Oh, arm strength. Vince Young has nothing on this kid's arm. I'm just saying
his arm, his size and stuff is kind of Roethlisberger-ish, except he's a much better athlete than Roethlisberger.
I got a comparison.
But no, Roethlisberger was a pretty good athlete.
I got a comparison for you.
Okay.
Just a tick slower, or not much slower, but just a tick slower than a guy named Michael Vick. Michael Vick had a hose, wasn't very accurate.
How big was Vick? He wasn't 6'4", though.
No. He was 6 foot-ish, 6'1"-ish.
That's the thing about Richardson is in today's NFL, all the defensive linemen are so big, so tall, that the problem that you worry about with like a Bryce Young is, God, are we going to be able to, like, Burrow gets a lot of balls batted down. Can we get the ball out of there?
Well, he's so smart. Like Drew Brees, right? Drew Brees, they list Drew Brees at 6 foot. I'll kiss your ass if Drew Brees is 6 foot. I've seen him in person.
Dante Culpepper, that's not a terrible example.
Dante couldn't run, wasn't an athlete though.
Yeah, he wasn't.
But he had a hose.
Yeah, he ran a 4.4 in his dreams.
And then here's the thing: is even when Michael Vick played and Dante Culpepper played, the game was different, right? Like nobody played. It was like cover. It was like off man, everybody bailing, and our offense is going to take. I mean, that's why I like Randy Moss, right? Yep. Randy Moss could just outrun everybody. You throw a jump ball to him, and he could go get it. You can't do that in today's game.
Well, it's why Richardson is. Look, they're going to sit in those rooms. These teams that have a chance to get up to the first pick, the second pick, and they're going to talk about him, and someone's finally going to go, he's a unicorn. I mean, there isn't a natural comp. And so it's a matter of two things. Yeah, you're going to fall in love with him. The way he looks. He's also a super charismatic guy. I mean, it's all there.
Yeah.
And they're going to get him in a meeting, and they're going to take him to dinner, and they're going to get him to throw, and he's going to throw the damn ball out of the damn building, and they're going to put a gun on it and be like, oh. And they're all just, they're going to have him on film, and they're going to go watch the film, and they're going to look at his, and they're going to go, we could just fix his footwork a little bit.
He breaks all the molds, man.
I mean, and I get it. And so it comes down to this. Can an organization say, all right, once we draft him, it's on us. It's not on him. It's on him, but it's on us. Can we build an offense around his strengths and around his weaknesses?
You're going to laugh at me. Do you know where I would? Now, it would take some finagling like right now, but somewhere that would be perfect for this guy would be a place like New York, the New York Giants. When you got Danny Dimes is there. Now they're fixing to have to redo his deal, but so it's
we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah.
But
you got to have someone like Brian Daboll who says, okay.
He's coached in college. He understands the quarterback run game. Because a lot of these guys in the NFL don't understand quarterback run game.
Yeah, or they're scared of it. But you got to have somebody who looks at him and goes, all right, yeah, sure. In an ideal world, and maybe this happens. I mean, it's on the table, right? It's on the menu where he learns how to feather throws, and he develops some better touch, and he does some of those things. It happens. But it's probably going to take a minute. And so in the minute when you're trying to have success, and if you draft him first or second, he's playing this year.
That's the problem. I don't know if I could do that as a coach-wise, but that's what's different about the NFL is like some places the coach has a lot of say what's going – like I guarantee you, Sean Payton's going to be all over the draft in Denver, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be some coaches that have no say.
Right.
Right? It's just depending on how the power of the GM deal. The personnel world is going to love this guy. The coaching world is not going to love this guy.
Well, I mean, look, in an ideal world, you could draft him into a team that had a veteran, a Kurt Warner kind of a guy, right?
Correct.
Like Eli benefited from this greatly when he went to New York. And you get, 13 weeks to a season where you get to develop without some pressure. You get to practice. The vet knows, hey, this kid's taking my job. Part of my salary is to sign a pet him along, right?
Yeah.
And if I do this well enough, like it worked out for Werner because he went somewhere else and won a Super Bowl. But you want to be able to, you'd love to be able to bring him in and work with him without every Sunday everything being evaluated. Like I think the Bears would have loved to have given Justin Fields more time. But yeah. I don't know that in today's football that's going to work out.
I put it like this. I'm being dead serious. If this was last year's draft, I'd take Anthony Richardson before I take Justin Fields.
Well, I think the Bears probably think about it.
I would, because, you know,
it appears that the Bears are like, we're too far invested on Fields now to go back.
You think Justin Fields can run the football?
Oh, this kid's amazing. But you got it.
But that's probably what you're going to get.
All right, so if you, knowing what you know today,
yeah,
you're the team that trades up with Chicago. I don't pick Carolina, right. Indianapolis, whoever. Who are you taking? Golly. Today? It's going to change between now and.
All right, it's going to change because I want to go back and study. But if just off what I know right now, I would probably still take Bryce Young. If I was taking a quarterback one, if I was taking one of these quarterbacks, I would still probably take Bryce Young because it's the safest. At least from a mentality standpoint, he's going to be able to play faster, in my opinion, than effectively in the NFL faster. It's not a matter of can he play; it's a matter of can he stay healthy. Okay. It's not that it's a safer.
Who would you take last? Who'd be the last of those four that you'd take?
In my opinion,
yeah,
C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, I'm just kind of there too.
Like I really, I'd like.
And he could burn you.
He could burn. They all could burn you.
Sure.
But depending on where I'm picking and all that stuff, I would definitely Bryce Young, and then I'd need to work the guy out, talk to the guy mentally, see where he's at, and all that stuff. But the other guy,
Levis can really throw it, man.
Oh, dude. If it wasn't for Anthony Richardson being just a generational freakazoid, everybody be talking about Will Levis today, because let me tell you something. When it leaves his hand,
it's pretty.
It's pretty as it gets, brother.
It's pretty as it gets. And he can feather it.
And he can feather it. He can do all that stuff. Like, it's just it's good, man.
Oh, it's why they sit in that room, and there's some meetings that I don't know if they get contentious. They probably do, but there are some meetings where people walk out of there going, "Boy, we got to get this one right. We're going to pay a pretty price to move up, and we got to get this right, because if we get this wrong, this is all we'll ever hear about." And there will be, "Hey, let's not Bears this. Let's not Trubisky this. Let's not overthink this."
Yeah. Grind says, "Why don't y'all like Ohio State Ryan Day quarterbacks?" It's not about Ryan Day. Look, let me tell you something. They do well at Ohio State. I don't care what anybody says. They evaluate players about as good as they can be done. They're one of the best evaluating staffs out there when it comes to, like, they don't miss on receivers, dude. If you see a receiver that's been offered a committable offer by Ohio State, that dude can probably play.
And it's not that I
quarterback same way.
It's not that I dislike Fields. I just, every time I watch Fields, the same phrase kind of goes through my mind. He's got a ceiling.
Yeah,
like, he's a good player. He's good, better. But I just worry that he's got a wild card round ceiling.
Yeah, he's getting better, but he's going to make. He can't run around forever, and that's the problem with Lamar, which we'll talk about next. But before we get out of here,
the Bears have yet to give him. They're starting to. Late last season, they started to give him some weapons, and who knows? Maybe
so. He'll get better.
Maybe it'll come along. But so far, I'm like, I don't know. Like, if I'm the Bears, honest to God, I watch the Will Levises and the Anthony Richardson of the world, and it is difficult for me not to at least consider, gosh, man, what if we traded Fields? What if we went quarterback here?
They probably would have already had to do that. But I'll say this before we get out of the combine. Everybody needs to watch out for my boy, the mailman, Stetson Bennett. Watch out for my boy. Here's what he is. If I had which there's going to be teams, maybe even a fourth or a fifth round, if I am San Diego, if I am Buffalo, if I am Kansas City, if I am now the Saints, I'd probably take him. He is going to be this generation's Chase Daniel.
Okay.
And I'm not saying he's going to start. I'm saying you're taking him to have, that's a luxury at backup. Okay. So that gives you 4 years of having a backup quarterback on basically a rookie deal. Because these backup quarterbacks, like when AJ, who's playing well, when AJ goes back in, he's going to get $4, $5, $6, $7 million to go be a backup quarterback. You can go get this kid for $400,000.
Yeah.
And so
how about that?
It'll allow you to get a that's played in the big game. He did really well at the combine. Threw the ball well, ran well, did everything well, did exactly what he's supposed to do. I think he's going to be this generation's Chase Daniel that's going to play as long as he wants to play as a backup quarterback. And he'll be a good one.
Okay.
That gets you out of a game and can actually probably win a couple of games with him. All right. Other NFL news. And then we'll hit the commercial break there. Derek Carr to the Saints. After the deal was said to be done, it wasn't going to happen. He ends up going to the Saints. Probably smoke screens. 4 years, $150 million with $100 million guaranteed. Get you some of that, Dougie Fresh. What do you think about that?
Good move for the Saints. It makes them the immediate favorite as of today.
He walked in the door. He's the best quarterback in the division.
In the NFC South. They still have some financial stuff they've got to work out with their cap and that kind of thing. He's got some weapons to work with. We talked about Olave, Kamara. What happened in Vegas, I don't think was his fault. It's good.
Dennis Allen was with him in the Raiders as well.
Yeah, no, it's good. It makes the Saints a playoff team.
Like that.
Yeah, sure.
I'll be interested what Chase thinks about it since tomorrow. I know you got to ask him about it tomorrow.
Chase will probably worry a little bit that it makes the Saints a purgatory team.
A purgatory team?
Where you're sort of where the Ravens have been the last few years. You make the playoffs, but that's as far as you go.
So, interesting from this move. So, this pretty much assures that Jameis Winston is going to get released by March 15th. By March 15th. He'll be released in the next week because it gives them, I don't know, I think it's like $4.4 million relief in the cap, if my math right. So Jameis Winston will now be a free agent. And here's the thing. I do want to say this. So they structured his deal because Hardman says in the stream, says Saints don't care about the cap. All right, so let's talk about the cap, right? I love the way they're posting these tweets and everything, like Derek Carr restructuring his contract to help with the cap. And like Demario Davis, I know restructured his contract, and Taysom Hill restructured his contract.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what restructuring the contract means. Let's stop acting like these guys restructuring their contract are falling on the sword for the team, okay? Can we stop that? Like every tweet is like, he's such a great guy. He restructured his contract to help the team.
Still getting the same money.
Coach, let's say you're making like my man over here, $100 million guaranteed. When he signs that in ink, they're handing him $60 million as a signing bonus because signing bonuses don't count towards the cap.
Right.
So you can pay a guy $40 gazillion. I could pay you $400 million. Okay. And I could give you.
I'm just going to tell you, if you'll do that, I will love you so much.
All right. But I'm going to give you.
I will do anything for you for $400 million.
I'm going to give you $399 million in a signing bonus, though. Okay?
That's fine.
So we can help the team.
Yeah, go for it.
Fall on that sword, boss.
Good with me.
You know what I mean? Like they don't care. Let's stop acting like they're sacrificing.
Well,
for
like
the team.
so much of Joe Burrow's deal coming up and Justin Herbert's deal coming up. The reason it's taking as long as it's taking is it's not because they don't know what the number is. It's they're figuring out how to structure it.
Yeah, you got to structure it. And it's not all of it. There's just a percentage or whatever it is. But let's stop acting like these guys are doing the big favor for everybody. So you're saying that's where the guaranteed money comes in. All right. So you're saying you could cut me in 3 weeks, but I still get that money. Yeah. That's like when AJ got his deal with Buffalo a couple of years ago. This is the greatest deal ever. He got $14 million, $10 million guaranteed, never took a snap.
That's living.
Never took a snap
That's
for him.
living right.
He actually got traded before the season even started. He was there for like 6 months. Wrote to checks.
Beautiful.
I mean, like.
So he loves the Bills.
Oh, he's all about the Bills, you know. Yeah. But anyway, I thought that was
AJ
great.
was with the Bengals for a while, wasn't he?
Bengals for a long time.
Yeah.
Bengals, Bills. He went out to the Raiders, Houston, Atlanta, and then he's in the XFL. They got beat. They lost their first game yesterday.
Okay.
So I didn't text him. I didn't text him yesterday. I'll wait till they win. All right. You want to tell us about walk-ons?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you about walk-ons.
Let me know about walk-ons since we got tournament coming up.
Yeah, good place to watch college basketball games, all the tournaments going on. Walk-On Sports Bistro puts everything they've got into bringing you game day with the taste of Louisiana dig into their mouth-watering, made-from-scratch Louisiana cuisine, po' boys, gumbo, voodoo shrimp, plus fan favorites like juicy burgers, fresh salads, all in front of 70-plus TVs, 40-plus ice-cold beers on tap. You can order online at walkons.com or on their convenient Walk-Ons app if you're in Oxford or Jackson looking for a place to watch the tournaments. There's championship games tonight, South Alabama and Louisiana Lafayette.
Let's go, Jags. Put your J's up.
Put your J's up. There's that. There's I think it's the league with Gonzaga and St. Mary's there in the quarters.
The Western.
The WAC.
No, it's the WCC, right?
Yeah, West Coast Conference or maybe whatever. Anyway, all that's getting started. All the
semis tonight.
All the bigs get started Wednesday. So stop at Walk-Ons. Make it a part of your tournament watching.
All right. Franchise tag is due at 4 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, 3 p.m. Central if you're on the good Lord's time. And we got an interesting situation going on in Baltimore right now. A lot of decisions to be made in the next 24 hours, literally about 24 hours and 17 minutes. Got to make the Ravens got to make a decision here. So let's talk about this. All right. So everybody's kind of heard of what the franchise tag is, right? So there are two kinds of franchise tags. So let's go through Lamar Jackson's situation.
Okay.
They can assign him a non-exclusive franchise tag, which will pay him $32 million for one time and one time only next year.
Okay.
Then, or they can sign him to an exclusive tag, which will pay him $45 million next year.
Okay.
Let's talk about the differences, right? So a non-exclusive tag, they can give him a non-exclusive tag that'll come with $32 million. With a non-exclusive tag, which Lamar's already doing, by the way, he's his own agent, by the way, you can go and shop.
He doesn't have an agent?
No.
He needs an agent.
Hey, well, it worked for Rolando Smith. He did fine. All right, with the Ravens, matter of fact. But you can go and sign an offer sheet with another team, which he is negotiating publicly, I guess, with the Redskins or the Commanders. Okay? He can sign that offer sheet. So let's say they offer him $50 million a year. Now the Ravens have an opportunity in a non-exclusive deal. If you go sign with another team, an offer sheet, I have the ability to match that. If I don't match that and I let you go, I receive draft picks in the form of 2 first-round picks back for that.
So a first this year and a first next year.
I don't know the years. I just know it's 2. I'd have to look at the years. An exclusive tag, if he signs the exclusive tag, then the Ravens would control his rights in trade talks and compensation with other teams. So they could technically sign him to a exclusive tag and then negotiate trades with different teams to get different kinds of compensation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. The Ravens, if they sign him, they're going to have cap problems. If they release him or let him go, they're going to get $21 million in cap space. So the question is it time to burn this thing down and start over at quarterback? And take an Anthony Richardson in the first round and pay him $400,000 a year instead of $45 million.
All right, but if you're the Ravens, where do they pick? Where's their pick?
I don't know. I mean, it's going to be probably, if I had to guess, around 20.
Because he's not going to fall that far.
Allegedly. But you could burn some more cap space you could make a trade for like a Marlon Humphrey or Rolando then you free up that cap space and burn it down and trade up.
I guess so.
You could burn it down if you want to.
I said this, I'll be consistent, but when the moment comes, you're like, God almighty, because he's so good. It's my opinion that their window has shut in the AFC North. I don't think they can win it. I think Cincinnati the next few years is just better than them. And if I'm them, I'm tempted. But their mistake, in my opinion, was you could get more than 2 first-round picks for Lamar Jackson. And so now you're going to run the risk of that's all you get.
Here's my problem with Lamar. I think Lamar is an unbelievable talent, right? When was the last time Lamar Jackson finished a season healthy?
Well, he hasn't.
because he runs so damn much, right? It goes back to the whole staying healthy thing. When he is healthy, they're as good as anybody, man. They can really play.
But they haven't given him the weapons that some other legitimate quarterbacks in the league have gotten.
But
I mean, he hasn't been protected. They've not done
yes and no, though.
They've not done a great job giving him, like, he has nothing resembling the arsenal of weapons that Burrow has in the same division.
But the way he plays quarterback, he doesn't use his wideouts. You know what I mean? Like, now Mark Andrews, he gets fed. You know, the running back, that is not their fault. They keep getting hurt. You know, that's not his fault. Yes and no. I mean, they've had guys run through there, but when they go to Baltimore, they go to die, but the receivers, because they don't get any balls. They don't get any targets. You know, is it time to move on instead of paying? Do you want to pay the guy $32 or $45 million, or do you want to just start over? Because he wants a Deshaun Watson, he wants a Russell Wilson kind of deal, and I'm not. There's no chance in hell I'm putting guaranteed money in a guy that can't finish a season. If I'm putting guaranteed money into a guy, I'm putting it into a guy that's going to finish the year every year. I don't. I think if I was in Baltimore, I think I would burn it down and start over.
That's what I said at the end of the season, so I'm going to agree with you. But boy, it would be tough to pull the trigger on that.
Glad it's somebody else, not me.
Because he's an elite player
when he's playing.
Yeah, he's special.
All right, real quick, I think you're going to see a deal get done with Daniel Jones and franchise tag go to Saquon in the next 24 hours. You'll know if they do franchise and haven't announced the Daniel Jones deal, that's because they're about to get a deal done with Daniel Jones. They know that because you can only use one franchise tag. It's easier to do that because it's cheaper to do that it's cheaper to franchise a running back than it is a quarterback. So that's why you'll see that done. All right, let's shift over to your favorite part right here. You just mentioned it, my South Alabama Jaguars. Put your Jays up playing tonight. But let's talk a little bit about the tournament you're going to be covering.
All right.
SEC basketball tournament that's starting Wednesday in Nash, Vegas at the Bridgestone Arena. So a couple questions here for you. Who in the SEC tournament, who has the most to gain, in your opinion? And I know that one of the Wednesday teams can win it all.
Ole
but
Miss.
I'm saying, like,
or Ole Miss or the winner of Ole Miss, Missouri.
Let's take the ones that
Ole Miss, South Carolina's got the most to gain. Got to get on a roll.
Let's take those.
One of those teams is only going to have to win 4 games in 4 days.
That's it.
Most to gain. I would have said Vanderbilt until I found out that Robbins is out
for the year.
So it's not them.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. He's a good player.
They were a really good team with him playing.
And they're very average without him.
All right, so let me ask you a question. Well, go ahead.
So I'll say the team with the most to gain is Mississippi State because they can eliminate bubble stuff by winning a couple of games, make it go away, and they're good. I think they're good anyway, but they could probably make for a more peaceful weekend.
So they're playing Florida first round, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they play. Well, I got it right here. I guess I could look at it. They're playing Florida on Thursday, first game Thursday. Then they have to match up with Alabama. So let me ask you this.
Okay.
If Mississippi State beats Florida and then loses to Alabama, are they in the tournament?
Yes.
So you say, what if they lose to Florida on Thursday?
Probably in trouble.
Puts them on a bubble or puts them out?
Puts them on a bubble and makes it where they could lose out their spot to bid Steelers, where like we talked about, like UAB wins Conference USA and CUSA becomes a 2-bid league.
Gotcha. All right. I would have also, let me ask you, here's my next question, because this was my question with a team to gain. Let's talk about Vanderbilt. Let's say Vandy, because they still won the other day, even though they play Florida. Let's say they win their game on Thursday against LSU or Georgia. All right, which is doable, obviously. And they go and upset Kentucky. Even though they lost to LSU, are they in if they can beat Kentucky on Friday?
Vanderbilt.
Yes.
No.
What if they beat the Texas A&M, Auburn, Arkansas winner? What if they get the championship game?
Last year's history with A&M would tell me no.
So regardless, they would basically have to win the tournament, you think, to get in?
Yes.
There's no No other
My
way.
opinion, no.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Yeah. All right. Who has the most to lose in the tournament? And is it the same thing as who has the most to gain?
It's probably State. If they lose to Florida, you really put yourself in a perilous position. I think everybody else is in. I think
Auburn in regardless?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Auburn got in when they beat Tennessee.
Okay.
That was it. I think they were probably in before that, but yes.
All right. My team with the most to lose,
Okay.
it's going to surprise you a little bit, is Tennessee. Not that they're going to get in. They're in.
Oh, yeah, they're in. But
if Tennessee,
they're just not the same team without Zakai Ziegler.
There you go. So let me ask you. Here's what I'm saying. Let's say they get ousted, which I think they're going to. I think they're in trouble.
Yeah, I'm pissed off about it too because they're a good team and people are going to do. And I'm not a Rick Barnes guy, whatever. But my field is lazy. And like, Rick Barnes, second weekend, first weekend, Rick. It's like, okay, yeah, but this team was special before Zakai Ziegler got hurt. Zakai Ziegler's maybe the best defensive guard in the league. He's an elite team runner. He's the heart and soul of their team.
He made everything go.
He's everything that is good about college basketball. Zakai Ziegler's fun. He's high energy. He's maybe the fastest guy baseline to baseline in the league. So of course Tennessee losing him on the last week of the season, they're not going to be the same team. That's not on Rick Barnes. That's on bad luck. Sorry.
All right. So here's my thing. If Tennessee gets ousted, and if I had to pick an upset, I got a couple I'm going to hit you with right now looking at the bracket. I'm not going to be shocked if the winner of the Ole Miss South Carolina game pops Tennessee.
That's what Chase said this morning.
That would not surprise me.
That makes me nervous because I have no plans to be there Friday.
Just giving you a head. Like, I'm being dead serious.
If you had to pick Ole Miss, South Carolina right now.
Ole Miss.
They're both actually playing a lot better.
They're both playing a lot better. Ole Miss, since Kermit's gone, since Wincase has been coached, they've been playing the whole year. But dude, they're playing good. They're just not getting over the hump, right?
Yeah, sure.
They go and pop. I mean, that's a viable upset there. If Tennessee gets popped by one of those teams, it's going to crush their seeding in the big tournament, and then they're going to get matched up with somebody.
Might knock them down a level. I just don't think it's.
Where
it's going to matter.
All right, they lose. Where are they seated?
They're still seeded 5th.
You get in that 5-12 matchup.
Yeah,
and
they're in trouble.
They're in trouble from an upset standpoint in the big show.
Sure.
That's why I'm saying they had the most to lose as opposed to going and playing Bucknell first round, right? That would be mine. And then who you got winning the tournament?
I still have Alabama winning it, but all right, teams that I think could win it. Alabama.
Yep.
A&M.
Yep.
Kentucky.
Yep.
Now Kentucky's going to have to get a point guard back. I mean, they went to Arkansas and won, but some of that was Arkansas had just this mental breakdown in that game. I mean, Debo Davis, that you can't do what he did in that game. You can't get yourself technical out of the game. You just can't.
That's how you lose games.
I mean, that was really immature.
That's why I don't like them.
Yeah, that was. You see why sometimes you watch
self-destruct.
You watch Musselman and you can tell he doesn't like that.
It's already hard enough.
Yeah. They could win it. I think that's it. I think they're the only.
A&M.
Yeah, A&M for sure. A&M's gritty as hell. A&M is the most disciplined, gritty, focused, methodical, veteran, consistent team in the league, and it's not close.
You may give you.
They don't have the. They don't. But what A&M doesn't have though is there's no Brandon Miller. There's no kid. The kid for Kentucky, the 6th man who came in and went for 40 the other night. They don't have that dude.
What's number 4's name?
Wade Taylor, the 4th. Is that you're talking about
for A&M?
I don't.
Number 4.
I'd have to pull up the jersey.
He's a dude. He's kind of their go-to guy. All right, here's my. You want to hear my hot take for the weekend?
Why not? Since
we won't have another show and everybody will forget about it by the time we come back to the NCAA tournament show, some asshole here will remind me.
Yeah, Wade Taylor the 4th is number 4.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, he's a stud. I mean, they've got good players. I mean, Dexter Dennis is a really good player. The Hefner kid can shoot it. We talked about Taylor. I like Anderson Garcia, the junior for them. I mean, I'm pulling up their roster. Henry Coleman III's been there forever. Good player. I mean, they got a good team. Boots Radford's a really good player, kid from Baton Rouge. I mean, they're a good team, but they don't have that dude who can just go win a game the way that even Kentucky does with Sheboy sometimes. I will say this. I thought Sheboy got away with the reason Arkansas flipped out, and this is on them. It's on Musselman. It's totally on him. They felt like Sheboy should have been ejected for the elbow.
Yeah.
And he probably should have been.
Yeah.
But they're not. They were never going to throw him out of that game.
All right, here's my hot take for the week for you, okay? I think the winner of the Thursday night 6 p.m. game between Arkansas and Auburn wins the tournament.
How?
I think the winner.
So you think one of those two teams, two teams that have been consistently inconsistent all season, are going to win on Thursday night and then go, okay, we got it all figured out.
Let's roll. Whoever.
All right, who does the winner of that game? They got to play A&M.
Texas A&M.
Dude.
Is it possible? On a neutral site?
Sure. I mean, A&M, Arkansas split with A&M, played two good games, beat them handily in Fayetteville, and lost a close one in College Station. I can't remember what Auburn did with A&M.
I don't know. I have to look. But Auburn's got Auburn was like watching Ole Miss, except they got over the hump a couple more times. They played well just about every game. All right.
Hold on, I'm gonna find this because I'm now curious.
And then the winner of that game would have to play probably Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sold that Kentucky's.
And then Alabama, as much as I love Alabama, and I think they are unbelievable as far as when it comes to athleticism and just a good basketball team. Turnovers will get them.
Yeah, A&M went to Auburn on January the 25th and won by 16, 79-63. A&M went to Arkansas January the 31st, lost by 11, and then played Auburn at home and beat Auburn 83-78 on February the 7th. And then 8 days later, they played Arkansas at home and won 62-56. So yes,
I'm just going to say the winner of the Auburn-Arkansas game, I'm picking that team to win the tournament.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I will put in
I'm disagreeing.
Well, I know that's why we got a great show here.
Yeah.
I think it's that kind of league this year where there's so much parity. The only parity right now is you can't say, Alabama's obviously better than everybody, but Alabama, I'm telling you, they'll go cold from three-point line. That's all it takes because they will turn the ball over. If they go cold from the three-point line, they get beat. And it just takes one game. So that's who I'm going with right there. All right. Do you have anyone in the NCAA tournament, the big boy tournament, that I'd said, okay, I'm going to give you $30, okay? Not really, but I'm going to give you $30 to make 3 $10 future bets on winning the NCAA tournament, okay?
All right.
Don't worry about the odds. Who are you picking? You get 3 shots to pick the winner of the NCAA tournament. Who are you going with?
Oh, I'd go Kansas.
Okay.
Houston.
Okay.
UCLA, maybe. I don't know. I hate that league. The league's so soft.
How you really feel?
I'd even think about Baylor. I don't like any of the SEC teams to win the whole thing. Kansas, Houston, UCLA.
All right. My 3 are going to be UConn.
Okay.
I like UConn. I like their metrics and all that mess.
Yeah.
UCLA as well. And I'm going to Grind just popped me with it. Texas.
Oh.
Texas can beat anybody on any court at any time. They can also get beat. But if they get hot and start, in the middle of looking for, this is going to be the typical, let me ask you a question. If they win a national championship, who are they hiring as a head coach?
Oh. I mean, they'll have to, but that's not what they wanted. I can tell you emphatically that that's not what they want.
Oh, I understand that.
I think
Kansas State guy, right?
I think they want to hire Jerome Tang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you going to do if he wins the national championship?
You have no choice. You have to hire.
How far what if he goes to the Final Four?
He probably gets the job. He's
got to get to the Final Four.
Probably has to get to certainly the Elite Eight and probably the Final Four to make them go, oh God, we have to do this.
What at worst? They're gonna be a 3 seed at worst, probably.
Texas?
Yeah.
No worse than a 3. They might be a 2.
Yeah.
They're legit now. They're good.
They're getting to the second weekend.
I mean, Chris Beard built a hell of a roster, and Terry's done a really good job with them.
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from him, but look at the roster that he built. That's why you go hire him.
Who?
Beard.
Where?
Ole Miss. Tomorrow, right now, I'd hire him today. I would.
Have you looked into that at all?
A little. Literally, bro.
I see your phone over there blowing up. That's why I was messing with you.
That's someone in Austin right there. So yeah.
You don't want to tweet and report what you're hearing?
No.
Why not?
I just don't have it.
It'd be great.
I don't have it.
First breaking news. You heard it here first.
I just don't have
McCready and Siskey podcast. Let's go.
I don't have it. Yeah.
Well, just just tweet your text. What if you screenshot your text?
That wouldn't be very fair to him.
Just black out the name.
That still wouldn't be fair to him at all. I've never done that in my life.
That would be cruel, wouldn't it?
Just unprofessional as hell is what it would be.
Yeah. I'll say what. It's going to be interesting. I'll tell you that.
Hey, who's going to be the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame, or the offensive line coach at Notre Dame?
They hired a guy from Virginia Tech.
So Matt decided not to do it.
He's not going to do it.
Okay.
That was last week. I guess
I never heard resolution.
Yeah, I guess I could have reported that last week. Yeah, he came home Wednesday. Was that Wednesday?
I don't know.
Whatever day it was, I talked to him when he came home, and then he decided not to do it the next day. So, but dude, he's a stud, man. He's got it. He's got the right setup. I don't know if it'd be hard for me to go do a transfer portal and NIL when I could play pickleball and golf all day. Although I've never played pickleball, but he's good at it.
Pickleball's becoming a really big deal.
I haven't done it yet. I've been asked 1,000 times. No, so Rich Rod is like, well, we should have asked Rich Rod about this. Rich Rod is like in pickleball now to the point to where at his new house in Jacksonville, he built pickleball courts in his backyard, like legit.
Well, like Carson goes and plays pickleball with his buddies. That's what they do for fun.
Yeah, I've never played.
Like every time I look at his location, he's at Avent Park, and I know, okay, they're playing pickleball.
Yeah, I've never played. I don't know.
When I was a kid, and I should have turned it into something. When I was in high school, he reminds me more of me all the time. When I was in high school, me and my buddies created a game. We called it multi-ball. It was tennis with a Nerf soccer ball.
Okay.
And we had all these rules that were, you used a tennis court. And
so you were a pickleball before there was pickleball, just a smaller ball.
It was a bigger ball.
No, now it's just a smaller ball.
Yeah, now it's a smaller ball. And you played, there were singles rules, and then it was really fun with doubles, but doubles had a lot of complicated rules.
Yeah. No, Matt.
And we would play multi-ball from 8 p.m. until midnight. I mean,
yeah, so Rich Rod,
I couldn't get a date, but by God, I could play multi-ball.
Rich Rod was the first guy that I knew that like swore by it, right? And I was like, and this is years ago. This is when he was here, like 2019, whatever. He swore by it. He loved it. And then me and Matt used to joke with him, make fun of him all the time, we ain't playing pickleball. We're gonna play golf. So it's funny that now Matt went and now he's a big pickleball guy. Matt has a good neighborhood. Like he's got like Brendan Todd lives over there. David Pollock. I think David Pollock's the one that's got he's like next door neighbor with David Pollock. I think he's got a tennis court, pickleball thing. And then Chris Kurt, the guy who won on the PGA Tour last week, that's who he plays golf with. So,
is that right? Yeah.
Hey, somebody's got to do it. Somebody has to do it.
I'd rather do that than have to do photo shoots with 16-year-old kids.
Dude. And that started back this past weekend.
Yeah.
Everybody's like
spinning around.
Hey, yeah, let's go.
The L's not for Louisiana.
No. All right. Before we get out of here, and I know we've already talked, so I know you were at your parents' house, but you missed arguably the best UFC fight card of the year on Saturday.
I heard it was good.
Okay.
I saw some like still pictures and stuff. I was at least intrigued when they talked about the guillotine hold. I'm like, what was that? And you explained it to me a little bit.
Yeah, it's a guillotine. But so it was a debate on your board. I loved it because there's a lot of people. So without question, the greatest mixed martial artist of all time, John Jones, came back after a 3-year layoff, went up to heavyweight. He usually fought in light heavyweight. And he beat Cyril Gane. And everybody was like, oh, he's been off for 3 years. And Cyril Gahn is like a really athletic dude. It's like 6'3", 244, I think, something like that. He's like Anthony Richardson size. But six-pack, the whole deal, can really move, causes people problems with his feet. And he'd only lost one time to Francis Ngannou. And by decision, had never been finished his entire career. John Jones has not fought in 3 years, comes out there and chokes him out about 2 minutes. Light work. And, you know, John Jones for this generation, a lot of like my son, who we kind of got into it during COVID, you know, kind of started getting in, you know, him watching and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
He had never seen John Jones fight. You know, he'd seen on the old videos and all that stuff, but he was just kind of like a, you know, when I started watching UFC, John Jones was in his prime, right? And he's never been beaten. I guess his record's either 27-1-1 now or it's 28-1-1. But the one loss came where he beat the guy, but they caught him with illegal elbows, and so they counted it as a loss because he got disqualified. And his one no contest is when he beat Daniel Cormier, and he failed a drug test the next week. So that's been his big thing, is like drug tests and stuff. But they need to go back and fix his record because the stuff that he failed for is now legal, like the limits and stuff. So it's not like he was out, you know.
So he's like UFC's Will Wade.
Yeah, good point. Good point. But here was I had this down last week. So do you know who David Goggins is? Have you seen this guy on?
Yes.
All right. So David Goggins is his mental coach.
Okay.
That tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
That's my dude.
Yeah.
David Goggins, like, so, you know, Matt and I are really good friends, obviously. So every time there's a good David Goggins tweet that comes on with a video, we'll just send it back and forth. Like, this dude cracks me up. He would definitely have the explicit language category on YouTube, but he was his mental coach, so that was funny. And by the way, do you know John Jones, like his brother, like Chandler Jones? That's his brother.
Oh, okay. So
his brother's playing NFL, all that stuff. Great athlete. But anyway, and then Valentina Shevchenko fought Alexa Grasso. Okay, so Valentina was like the greatest female, I guess, in a long time. Like, she lost to Amanda Nunes, but in her weight class, she hadn't lost since like 2018. And it goes to show, and I think this is real important because I wanted to bring this up at the end. I think a lot of people in the mixed martial arts world and even in the NFL, when you grow up without money and all of a sudden you get the big check, different kind of person it takes to come to work. I mean, to come to work every day. I think there's an edge lost a little bit. And in MMA especially, like, dude, if you don't come with edge, you're going to get beat because it's a one-punch league, man. You can get hit. You can get caught by anybody. But if you're not 100, like you look at Conor McGregor, since he's made his money, he's like 1-4. And his only win was over somebody that was washed up.
It's probably hard to go train the way you would have trained before when you're.
Yeah, to have that, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be, like, football is one thing, but MMA, I mean, you got to really be a different bird.
I remember when Rocky won the title.
Yeah. All right.
He didn't train the same way because all of a sudden he wanted to like play the music. And
Mr. T got him.
And Clubber Lang.
Yeah, Clubber Lang got him.
Mr. T. Clubber Lang.
Clubber Lang.
Clubber Lang was hungry.
He was hungry. And I really
do.
And
so Rocky, I don't know if you remember this.
Oh, I'm a big Rocky guy.
Rocky had, and I mean, this is when Adrian's the worst. He's awful. I mean,
too much might change now. Adrian changed from movie 1 to movie 4. She went from being like not needy to being super needy. She changed her.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed if I was Rocky. That's not who I married.
He still goes and sits in her grave and he's like, hey, baby, you're the best. I'm like, no, she didn't believe in you.
Yeah.
She literally looked at you and said, you can't win.
Yeah, that's right.
At that moment, you're like, we're done.
Yeah, that's it. You don't believe me, we're done.
You don't think I can win? But Apollo believed. And so he went out to California.
Yeah.
And ran on the beach.
Yep.
And he got trained the old-fashioned way.
Yep.
And
stayed at the nasty hotel.
Stayed at the nasty hotel, and he kicked Clubber's ass. And there's a lesson to be learned there.
Yeah. But I really do. There's an edge that's missing from some of these people. And if you look at Amanda Nunes, so I went to the UFC in Dallas when she lost, but because she had won for so long, and she's getting older. She's made all this money now, and she had won for however many years she had won. And she got caught because she wasn't ready. And she showed up. She looked a little soft, out of shape and everything else. Well, she got pissed off and came back in the rematch and kicked her ass, you know, because she was a better fighter. But and then the last one was Bo Nickel, who I got to get you to watch. All right, Bo Nickel, I think you would like this guy. So he's the Penn State 3-time All-American, 3-time national champ. It was only his 4th fight. So they're going to push him pretty fast. It was his 4th fight, his first real UFC fight because he had done the Contender Series thing. And they put him on the main card. He is a, what is he? He is going to be I don't know, he's lightweight, middleweight, welterweight somewhere. He's not a heavyweight.
Okay. So he's not fighting John Jones.
No. But he goes in there and they're going to push him fast, and he's already on the main card in fight 4. And he literally said in the deal that he was going to submit the guy, force him to quit in a round, and he did. He went in there and freaking dominated the guy. And he's an elite wrestler and just
technically sound.
He's a striker, the whole deal. And dude, he put it on him quick. And the funny thing was with this fight, this is the thing that'll make you laugh. So he fought Jamie Pickett.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jamie Pickett agreed to this fight way back in the summer because he was like, "Hey, we're gonna put you on this fight was supposed to take place in like December or January. Hey, we're gonna put you on this." Tells Jamie Pickett this. Hey, we're gonna put you on this pay-per-view and pay you more money. He goes, "You're going to fight this guy named Bo Nickel." And he's like, "Who the hell's Bo Nickel?"
Right.
And so he's like, "Yeah, sign it." And then, so they interviewed him. He didn't realize who he was fighting when he signed the contract. And so he was like, the dude's fake body language, you already knew. He was like, I didn't even know who I was fighting. And now, obviously, Bo Nickel had gotten hurt, so they had to back it up a couple months. And in that meantime, he figured out who he was really quick because then they aired the Contender Series, and he knew he was in trouble. He got just obliterated, and it's probably going to take Jamie Pickett out of the UFC because he's lost like 4 in a row now. So it's rough life, man. You got to get to watching these things, man.
I watched Creed 3 on Saturday.
If you look, do you like boxing?
I mean, I think pound for pound, Adonis Creed is the best fighter in boxing history. Oh yeah, he's better than Drago.
All right. So here's the thing about
Drago is just a mauler. Like Adonis Creed can fight you in a number of different ways.
Right. All right. So
there must be something to like. If you want your kid to be successful, name your kid. I don't care what your last name is. Just name your kid Michael Jordan.
It works.
And it works.
Yeah. It works. It's like a boy named Sue. You have to be great, or you're gonna get made fun of.
What's your name? This is Michael Jordan, but your last name is McCready. Yeah, but his is not. He's Michael Jordan.
Yeah, Mike just changed his name on the birth certificate. But here's, all kidding aside, the reason I like MMA better than boxing now, and I used to be the other way, is because in boxing, if you're watching Floyd Mayweather fight Conor McGregor, right, you're paying all of your money to watch one fight because you don't even know who's on the undercard. I mean, you don't know any of their names or nothing. With MMA, they do 2 main, like a co-main. Like those first 2. Valentina they do 2 title fights in that.
That's why it's grown the way it has. I mean, it's very clearly become a very popular sport. I mean, they were talking about it today on, like, when I was running, I had ESPN on. I wasn't listening to it because obviously, but they did on a day when NFL had a lot going on. They were still talking MMA today, which tells me all I need to know.
Yeah, it's and as good as it is on TV, like when I went there, it was the first one I've ever been to, watching it live. And my man Bob hooked us up with some great seats because Monster is the main sponsor for MMA. So we were down there tight and like literally within 15 feet of the ring. It is one of the most impressive sporting events the most impressive sporting event I've ever been to in my life. Like, you're talking about like how you feel when you go to the NBA games and see those guys.
Yeah.
One, you can see how athletic these guys are, and you hear the punches.
Okay.
Like you hear them, and I don't remember who it was. My son had to remind me. Somebody got hit with a kick to the body, and they kick him in the liver, and it'll shut you down now. But the violence that noise made when he kicked him, like you knew something broke, but he just kicked him in the liver. Like it was like, ooh, that's it. And he did. He shut down. But it's the violence and being that close and blood and everything else. If they get cut, it's good stuff. And then Hardman broke out. What about Rachmanov? He's now 17-0. He was the 3rd fight, 17-0, and he's finished all 17 fights. So he got his mouthpiece knocked out. Okay. He fought, and Herb Dean was the referee. He never saw it on the floor.
Because they could have stopped him.
They usually do.
Yeah.
But he didn't see it. And Joe Rogan actually was yelling, like took his headset off and said, "Hey, mouthpiece," and made him stop it. He fought damn near a whole round without a mouthpiece in, was just getting smoked. And he ends up winning the fight. But it was just a great card all the way down to the prelims with all undefeated guys. It was the best total fight card that I've seen in a long time. And I've said that like twice in the last 6 months. Like they're getting better and better and better and better. They got a week off, not a week off. They got pay-per-view here in 2 weeks, so that'd be good.
Hey, don't forget, we are also brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Different names, same great products, same great services, same great people. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, that area, get in touch with our friends at Comer. Make sure that AC is in tip-top shape. It's about to get warm. 662-801-1777. If you live in Memphis, Hernando, South Haven, Olive Branch, those areas, get in touch with our friends at Southern. 662-429-4429. And we've been brought to you by Rain Total Body Fuel. 300 milligrams natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more.
That's all I got. It's a Players Championship this weekend, so we'll do a golf deal.
Okay.
I got screwed on golf this weekend, but I want it back on NASCAR.
All right, give me your opinion real quick.
Yep.
As you know, Carson's a big basketball fan.
Yep.
So planning to take him to New Orleans Saturday and Sunday. The Pels have back-to-backs. They got Thunder on Saturday. Carson's a big Thunder fan. Shea's back, SGA. And we're going to see Portland on Sunday.
Okay.
Damian Lillard. And my brother is obsessed with New Orleans is not safe. You can't go. You can't go. You can't go. Apparently somebody got murdered in Baton Rouge. Did you hear about that?
Yes.
They found his body. Do I need to be worried about this? Because I'm like, we're not going down to the quarter and hanging out. I mean,
I'm different than everybody else. Like, dude, I've been recruiting in some bad places. My favorite was when I went with Joey Jones. We were recruiting a kid in Birmingham and getting out of the car in his driveway, and somebody unloaded a clip in the park across the street. So we ran inside pretty quick. Look, I've always said this. You can mitigate your risk by where you what environment you put yourself into.
Yeah.
Okay. Like if you go down, I started to say Bill Street. If you go down Bourbon Street, like there used to be a bar down there called the Cat's Meow. Okay. After the Cat's Meow, the lights start getting darker and darker. When you got to the Cat's Meow, just turn around and go back the other direction. Like if you go past the Cat's Meow, hey, it's on you.
And we're not even going to Bourbon.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But if you go down there right now, if you go past the Cat's Meow on Bourbon Street, that's on you. I don't know if Cat's Meow is still there or not, so somebody had to fill me in. It's been a minute. But the lights, it went from being like really lit up to just dark.
Yeah.
Like that's your fault.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go from the hotel, we'll Uber to the arena.
I'm trying to think last time I went to New Orleans. It was probably Sugar Bowl, maybe.
Uber back. And then we're not doing anything.
I think you can put any place that you go to, any place you live, all that stuff. And the stuff that and look, the guy, obviously, he didn't go to the bar thinking he was going to get killed or anything. But the guy was at a bar in Baton Rouge and then was walking from there to his hotel by himself.
He was at the downtown Marriott. I mean,
No, I'm with you. I mean,
yeah.
There's stuff. Here's the thing is I think all this stuff has been, in my opinion, everything that you see now that's newsworthy, I think it's been going on forever. I just think now with social media and everything else, you have a better eye on those things. Like things come out more than not.
Yeah.
But I mean, people have been getting killed in cities and small towns and big towns forever. It's like if you, Cat's Meow still open according to Hardman. Appreciate you, Hardman. Like, don't go past the Cat's Meow, man. It's on the left as you're going down Bourbon Street.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you get to the Cat's Meow, just turn around and go back. Just turn around and go the other direction. Stay on Bourbon Street. You're fine. Same thing in Memphis. Go to Bill Street. Stay on Bill Street. You're fine. Go get some Gus's fried chicken, walk down Bill Street, go to the ball game, whatever. But look, I'm trying to think of cities I've been to recently. I've been to Dallas. Was it once or twice? Been to Dallas. Went to Houston for the World Series. I mean, dude, I don't have a problem, but I also don't put myself in stupid situations. Like if you put yourself in those situations, yeah, it's probably not safe. But if you go out by yourself, walking in the middle of nowhere, yeah, you may run into some stuff.
Yeah, I don't.
But if you're with a crowd of people, nobody's going to jack up all this stuff's about people by themselves, right?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking.
I could probably take you somewhere in Oxford right now and drop you off by yourself, and it'd be hard for you to get back home.
No, nothing happens here.
But everywhere, right?
Nothing happens here.
Right.
Nope.
Everywhere you live.
But not here.
What's funny though is when you live in a small town, like we live in Oxford, right?
Yep.
Like go to Mobile. I mean, I lived in Mobile for a long time.
I did too.
All right, long time. Go turn on the news at 5 o'clock in Mobile. We get local Memphis stations here. Go turn on the news. The first 10 minutes of news is about somebody getting shot. I mean, like the first 48 is that show on A&E. They actually filmed in Mobile, and they started in Memphis. They filmed in Mobile. Like, I've been around stuff like that my whole life. It doesn't bother me. I think it is what it is.
I mean, I grew up on the mean streets of Ruston, man. I mean,
it's rough.
It was rough.
Yeah, but anywhere you go. But yeah, that's fun. I went to another home visit. I went to home visits in the projects one time, and the dad came out and met me and made me drive my car down the middle, right down the middle of like a building that had like a little grass area. I drove my car all the way down. He goes, "Yeah, you need to park it right here so nobody jacks your shit." So I went in there, and then he was like, "Hey, watch this car. Don't let nobody mess with it." I've been in some crazy areas. We can talk about that later, but I've been in some crazy areas.
All right. On that note, we'll wrap it up.
Let's do it, man.
I've already bought the tickets. I mean, it just feels like it's okay. But
dude, you'll be fine. Yep. Where are you staying?
The Hilton Riverside.
Yeah, be fine, dude.
Yeah. All right, we'll stop there. Thanks, everybody, for making us a part of your week. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be back at some point next week with another edition of McCready and Siskey. It'll be episode 63, and it will also be brought to you by Rain Total Body Fuel. So
hit that like and subscribe button, please.
Yes, please do. And be safe. We'll talk to you guys soon.